This video will look at solving quadratic equations by factoring. So far we've talked about solving by completing the square, taking square roots, and we've also talked about factoring. Okay, so now we're going to kind of put the idea of solving an equation along with factoring. So before we get back into solving, we need to remember what do we call our solutions. Okay, so the solutions are called zeros, roots, solutions, and x-intercepts. Okay, now we must know all four of those on any test, on any assessment. Anytime that we see something with quadratics, any of those four words could be used. You could see multiples, so if you know one of them, you're good. But if you got to know all four. So if you only see one of them, you know, oh, that's what I'm looking for. I like to call them solutions, but I see the word zeros. I know that's a solution. Okay, so I know what to do. Okay, so we must know what they're called, all of the names. So let's go ahead and do it factoring. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple examples that are already factored, and then we're also going to factor one ourselves and then solve it. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at a factored form. Okay, so factored form, if we recall, is x plus m times x plus n equals 0. Okay, now, if we're looking at a factored form, let's say we have x minus 3 times x plus 4 equals 0. Okay, so I always have to set equal to 0 because we're looking for zeros. Okay, so it's called a 0 because it has to equal 0, or y equals 0. Now, if you have two numbers that multiply to make 0, either x minus 3 has to be 0 or x plus 4 has to be 0. So we have to check both of them, but that's all we've got to do. Okay, so what we're going to do is by the zero product property. Okay, we talked about this in class. We're just jogging remembering what it's called. We know that x minus 3 equals 0. X plus 4 equals 0. Now all you have to do is get x by itself. Look at this. Adding 3 on both sides, x equals 3. Subtracting 4 on both sides, x equals negative 4. We're done. Once you get it factored and you get it into factored form, your solutions are real quick. Let's do another one. Okay, it was so quick. We can do another one. Let's say we look at these factors of 2x minus 1 times, say, 3x plus 5 equals 0. Okay? We're in factored form. We have a group multiplied by another group, and it equals 0. So we know that either this first group has to equal 0, or the second group has to equal 0. So let's check them both. 2x minus 1 equals 0. 3x plus 5 equals 0. And this is a little bit more than we bargained for in the last one, but we're just doing a little two-step. Okay? Now we can do a little two-step action. So we add our 1 on both sides. So 2x equals 1. Divide by 2 on both sides. X equals 1/2. Fraction. That's okay. We'll leave it like that. It looks nice for now. 1/2 isn't too bad. And we're done. So we don't have to do anything else with it. So we can leave a fraction the answer. That's good with us. So now we got to do the other one. Get our x by itself. So we got to move the 5. Do the inverse operation. So 3x equals negative 5. Divide by 3 on both sides. X equals negative 5 over 3. And that's another fraction. It looks a little bit messier than 1/2. But that's okay. We're done. We found the answer and we don't have to do anything else. If we end up with a fraction, we can just stop. That's cool. If you want to get a decimal, go for it, but fractions are fine. Okay, fractions are your friends. That's what we're trying to learn here. Fractions are friends, not foe or food. Don't eat them. Okay, now we're going to do a factoring problem and then solve it. So we're going to do the whole enchilada here. You can eat enchiladas. So let's look at 3x squared minus 3x plus 1 equals 0. Hopefully this works. If not, Mr. Herman's going to change it real quick. So we need to make sure that we have a product. This is A times C, which is 3. This is b, which is -3. So it's sum and product. Pretend like you didn't see this. And we're going to change this to a... This is going to become a 2. Okay. This is what Mr. Herman gets for not checking his work first. Okay. So we need two numbers that multiply to make 3 and add up to -2. Add up to +2. Let's disregard Mr. Herman for a second. Now let's regard Mr. Herman with 7x squared plus 4x minus 3 equals 0. Okay, so we need to have a times c goes here. That's our product. And our sum, which is b, is going to go in the bottom. So we've got -21 and 4. I'm going to do some thinking out loud. So I'm thinking -21. So we have 1 times -21, 3 times -7. Ooh, that seems it could be reasonable. 3 times +7 gives us 7 plus -3 equals 4. Beautiful. Okay, that was some beautiful thinking right there. 7 and -3. Build our box. Okay, so we keep our 7x squared, keep our -3. We've got a 7x to place and a -3x to place. So let's go ahead and pull out what's the same. In this column, we have a 7, and in x, we have a -3. And this one, all we got is an x. This one, we got nothing, so it's going to be a 1. Okay, a +1 at that. Okay, so we have, 7x minus 3 times x plus 1. That's factored form. It equals 0. What can we do with those two groups? We set them equal to 0. Let's do the nice and neat one first. -1 on both sides. X equals -1. And then here we add 3 on both sides. 7x equals 3. Dividing by 7. X equals 3 over 7. Once again, a fraction that we might not like, but we're done, so don't have to worry about it. All right, so despite what Mr. Herman messed up on trying to pick a problem earlier, we finished this video, and now you've got a couple to do on your own.